just finished hiking from Tillamook Head Trailhead to Indian Beach Trailhead, which is right back there. If you want to see what that hike is like, it wasn't easy, got lost a few times, but it is a quintessential Oregon coast hike. Got a lot of history, it's got some great views. Stick around for this awesome hike. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, Living on the Oregon Coast. Or if you're new to this channel, Living on the Oregon Coast, we show you what it's like to eat, sleep, play, all the pros and cons of living on the Oregon Coast. We've got over 100 videos on our channel. A lot of them are educational. Today is going to fall under the play category. Today I'm going to take you for a little hike. One of the more popular hikes along the Oregon Coast. I'm in Seaside. I'm at Tillamook Head Trailhead. And I'm going to hike to Indian Beach Trailhead, which is on the other side of Tillamook Head towards Cannon Beach. The trailhead is just south of Seaside Cove, so it's kind of like the southernmost part of Seaside. Looks like there's one other vehicle here. It's November. This can usually be a little bit crowded, but today don't expect to see too many people. Here's what the trailhead looks like just behind me. Let's go take a look. I'm gonna walk you through this. I'm gonna try and make it all the way to Indian Trailhead. We'll see how it goes. I've never done this hike before. I am a pretty experienced hiker. Done quite a few hikes, but not this one before. Here's what we're looking at. So this is supposed to be just over a 6-mile hike. I get most of my information on OregonHikers.org. If you just do a Google search for any type of hike, usually Oregon Hikers is going to show up at the top. They've got maps, comprehensive descriptions, lots of pictures. So I had a kind of a good idea of what I'm in for going into this. So just over 6 miles and about 1,350 feet of elevation gain, which is not too much. So Tillamook Head is a very prominent land feature that you'll see driving on the 101 through Seaside. This trail is rated as a moderate hike, so it's not easy. It's not listed as family friendly, and it's known to get pretty slippery. So let me show you a little bit of what we're working with here. Quite a bit of mud. Fortunately, today is supposed to be pretty dry. Although you should definitely come prepared. I did not bring a rain jacket, although I would suggest that you do. Looks like we do have a little bit of company. I'll let this person pass. Hi. Okay, well, that's a good sign. I have read stories of this trail getting a little bit treacherous in places, so that is a consideration when you go hiking. I am alone today in a place that I've never hiked before, that's not labeled as easy, so that's something that you probably want to take into consideration if you're going to be going off alone. What's the risk level? So as far as my gear goes, like I said, I don't have a rain jacket. Did bring a jacket and quite a few layers. Okay, so let me show you this. I've got a fork in the trail right here, which I didn't really anticipate. I don't, or maybe not actually. Maybe not. Maybe I am off trail. I think I'm going off trail here. Either that or this just meets back up with the trail. Now, if you haven't done too much hiking, usually these trails are not like some labyrinth of trails, so you don't encounter too many forks in the road. And if you do, oftentimes there's going to be signs. So I'm not going to expect that too much. But back to gear. I do have an overnight backpack. It's about 65 liters, large enough to hold a tent, sleeping bag, and enough gear for a couple days. Definitely don't need this backpack. That's just what I had at hand. More like a 20-liter backpack would be fine. So I recommend bringing some layers. For the most part, just kind of any athletic clothes are fine. At least for any easy trail. If you're doing more of a moderate trail to a hard trail, there's going to be maybe some other considerations. One would be shoes. So on an easy trail, and by the way, if you're watching this video thinking, because I know we get some complaints about all the talking head, most people don't want to see us talking the whole time. After I tell you a little bit more about the trail and what I'm doing here and my gear and all that, I'll just switch it back over to the hike. More of the hike and less of me. So as far as shoes go, a lot of easy trails along the Oregon coast. You're probably going to be fine with Nikes. You're going to encounter like a lot of mud, a lot of stuff like this. So anything that's moderate to harder. A couple reasons why you might want hiking boots. One, traction. You don't want to slip, especially in places like this, where we are probably going to encounter some cliffs. I can think of a handful of places that I've hiked throughout Oregon where you'll find a memorial for somebody that wasn't so lucky that got too close to a cliff. So people falling off of cliffs is a thing. So you don't want to be slipping and sliding all over the place. So traction is important. It's also good to keep your feet dry. Even on a dry day like this, I don't really anticipate any rain. There's going to be a lot of places though where I can still get my feet wet. Not a huge deal. If you happen to get stuck overnight, it's not great to have your feet wet. It's not going to help your body temperature. So I'd recommend hiking boots for this trip. Some water, a few snacks. I don't tend to eat and drink much on hikes or whenever I go climbing. Just don't like to fill up my stomach. Lots of mud. Lots of mud. So more the snacks and the water I typically bring are just in case I get lost and don't make my way back for some time. Beyond that, first aid kit. Doesn't hurt to have a couple of tools, such as a knife. I've got a couple steps right here to help us along. So that's nice. If you do own a firearm, I would suggest bringing a firearm. Almost for sure not going to have to use it, but it's just one of those things. If you do encounter a situation where you wish you had it and you didn't bring it, you're really going to regret it. Why do I say firearm? Well, there are a lot of mountain lions and bears in these forests. One thing about being out in nature, where you're away from a lot of people, like I will be here, as we get deeper into the forest, you may encounter some wildlife. Now, cougar attacks, bear attacks, pretty much unheard of. I've never heard of anybody in Oregon getting attacked by a mountain lion or a bear. I'm sure it's happened. A lot of this stuff to get through. I'm trying to make good time too. Don't have all day to do this. So don't anticipate being attacked by a mountain lion or bear. Part of the reason why might be people that carry firearms that are able to deter those animals by firing a warning shot. So I wouldn't be worried about hiking out here and encountering a bear or a lion. They're very shy. I have never seen a mountain lion in all of my hiking throughout Oregon alive. Seen a few dead ones. I've never seen a live one in my life. Seen some bears though. So they, for the most part, stay away from people, but like I said, if you own a firearm, toss it in the bottom of your bag. It's not gonna hurt to have. Beyond that, other tools, GPS potentially. Cell service is spotty along the Oregon coast. Some places you're gonna have good cell service and you can just use your cell for GPS. If you need GPS, I don't anticipate using it too much today, but I do recommend, if you're gonna go on a hike like this alone, have an idea of what your cell service is like. I have been lost in the woods before, and fortunately had cell service to get me back out. If you're going to a place that doesn't have great cell service, you might want to print out a map. Not gonna hurt to do. Okay, and now we encounter another fork here. So looking at the map, I know that roughly, obviously the cliffs and the ocean is to the west of me. Looking at the map, I'm trying to stay east. So that would be west. That would be east. Have to think that's probably the way to go. Not to mention we do have to get over the top of Tillamook Head, so I have to assume that we are going up. So how does my cell service work for maps? Let's just pull it up here real quick. I've got 2 out of 4 bars. So looks like we're on the right trail. We're gonna head all the way down there, down here, all the way down here. I'm not sure how we're gonna connect right there, but we'll find out when we get there. And then all the way down here to Indian Beach. Probably have to overlay that, there's too much gloss on that. Okay, enough of me talking. I'm gonna save the rest of the footage for just showing you what the trail looks like. Not gonna be able to squeeze this whole thing in. I anticipate this is going to take just over 6 miles. It's gonna take over 2 hours. Going 3 miles an hour would be really hustling. So it's probably gonna take me like 2.5 hours to do this. Of course, you're not gonna watch a 2.5 hour video of me talking, or probably of this entire hike. So the rest of the footage, I'll just do footage that's maybe gonna be pertinent, interesting. There's quite a few things to look at along the way here. A couple of really old things from World War II in the woods here that I'm curious to see what they look like. So that's what I'll save the rest of the footage for. Hopefully I'll see you at the end of Indian Beach. All right, update. Just came back from that big hill. Remember this spot we just came from? And I said we should probably go up rather than down. Well, I think that was correct, although I didn't notice a little fork. And so coming up this way, actually I went up that way, but I think this is going to be the correct way, in fact. Thanks to the GPS on my phone. Alright. Something else that also tipped me off is I heard some people this way. Actually sounded like little kids. Maybe that's that minivan that we saw in the parking lot on the way when we got here. Which, you know, it says not family friendly. Well, that stuff's the reason why, but good for them. I thought about bringing my 6-year-old, but probably not the best idea if it's your first time and you're gonna get lost a little bit like I am. Okay, I think maybe we're on the right trail now. Looking like we're seeing some daylight up there too. So getting a little bit of elevation. I'll give you an update again here in a few minutes. Okay, just past that family that I mentioned. There's the ocean out there. Might be time to shed some layers. Okay, I'll do a little stop here. I typically just like to wear a few layers, and it usually doesn't take long to warm up before it's time to take one off. So what type of gear to wear? As you can see, I've got a regular old sweatshirt right here, but underneath, if you want to get some good hiking gear in Oregon, there's quite a few different options, but in particular we have a company called Columbia. You can see that right there, and they own a couple other brands, including Mountain Hardwear, which is the backpack that this is. And one of the cool things about Columbia is that it's based out of Portland, and they've got an employee store in Portland, and it's typically pretty easy to get a hold of employee passes. I might even be able to get you one, which are 50% off. And this isn't like necessarily like outlet stuff that they couldn't sell. They've actually got a lot of good gear at the employee store. So Columbia is a great place if you want a good deal on some hiking gear. All right, let's head out. I mentioned I don't anticipate too many of these forks, but we found already a couple. If you go the wrong way, just turn around and go the other way at the fork. So that was probably just a viewpoint that somebody was trying to get to. Feel like we're off the trail. Maybe go back to right around where we did a layer change. And time to check the phone. Yeah, looks like we're off trail. to go back even a little bit further than that. Okay, just came back to our resting point for a second time. Looks like that was the right way. I went this way the first time. Map shows we're just slightly off the trail. I think it's just the GPS, but either way we need to get east. So I'm gonna see if this will take us where we need to go. Because that, for what it seemed like, kind of was just a dead end. A couple of viewpoints down there. Might be the reason why that trail exists. People just making a little desire path for a couple of the viewpoints, but I think now I'm on the correct trail. Okay. It's now looking a lot better. See if we can make our way up to this top, and I'll check back with you then. Okay, we got an update here. Making progress. Okay, I think we're to the top. Things are starting to flatten out here. Got a little sun, maybe get some sun on my camera, warm it back up. I'll go take a look over here real quick. Starting to get the first glimpse of Seaside from up here. Okay, so my camera is powering off despite being at 48%. So I'm gonna use my phone here for a minute. And this brings me to an important point, because I have had this happen before. I do carry a couple of extra batteries in my backpack, including one that's solar. Battery packs specifically that you can use to charge things like your phone or like your camera. And I point that out because, especially if you're somebody from California, Texas, Arizona, one thing you may not have encountered before, sometimes when your battery gets too cold, whether it's on your phone or your camera, device will power off. I have had that happen before, where my phone would not turn on when I was in the middle of the woods because it was too cold. So I'm guessing that's why my camera turned off. It was high 30s this morning. It's probably into the 40s now. Still fairly cold, so see if I can warm my camera back up again so I don't have to use my phone. But working up towards the top now, maybe a third of the way in. I'll give you another update here shortly. Feels like we're getting close to the top here, starting to flatten out a little bit. Hopefully we can get some sun on my camera, warm that thing up. These are one of these places you want to be careful of. Roadblock. Okay, not too much farther. We should have some things to look at, maybe a few more viewpoints, and getting closer to a hiker's camp. Probably just a viewpoint. Just a viewpoint. So if you're looking at this on a map, you probably notice there's a few places where it does get pretty. I hear sea lions. If you're looking at this on a map, you probably notice there is some pretty steep elevation right near the trail. I think a lot of what you're gonna see is stuff like that. And right here, you probably can't really tell that well, but pretty steep down there. So if you're worried about this hike being treacherous and going near some cliffs as it describes online, that's what you're gonna be dealing with. You can definitely keep it safe and stay far enough away from those cliffs as long as you stay on the trail. I can imagine this gets pretty slick when it's raining out. And this actually has some water sitting on it. Okay, getting closer now. I can really start to hear the surf, and you can almost see just down there on the other side of that is going to be Cannon Beach and Indian Beach, where we are going to end. So it looks like we're going to be working our way back down now. About halfway in now. Making good progress. All right. Okay, we are getting closer now, and did not say rain in the forecast, but nevertheless got a little sprinkle here. You hear that? Probably won't last for too long. All the more reason to always bring a rain jacket. If you don't, not too big of a deal to get a little bit wet. As you can see, it's going to be pretty wet regardless of if it rained or not. Keeping the pace that I'm keeping right now, it's not easy not to perspirate. So, lost a little bit of the sun, but I think we're just maybe 2/3 of the way there at this point. Should be getting close to hiker's camp. Still a little bit of drizzle coming up out of the forest now, though. Getting a little bit more daylight here. As we work our way into Cola State Park. it looks like we're really just going to be working our way back down. Now it looks like we're going to start working our way back down here. Do another update here once we get closer towards the bottom. Okay, getting closer to a spot called Hiker's Camp, which is about 4 miles in. So we're about 2/3 of the way there. It took me about 2 hours. Not as fast as I wanted to go. I've been doing a little bit of light jogging too to try and keep the pace. But we're gonna check out this Hiker's Camp here real quick. You can see right up here. There's no overnight parking where I parked, but you can, I believe, stay in these overnight. Bunk beds. Also, if you need it, got a bathroom here. Take a little detour down here from Hiker's Camp to Tillamook Rock Lighthouse. All right, so I started from Hiker's Camp on the Clatsop Trail. That one was a little bit more narrow, and looking up ahead with some of the cliffs looked a little bit more gnarly. So I cut down to the Cannon Beach Trail. Looks like this one stays inland a little bit less, a little bit more, a little less elevation. So we'll see how this goes. All right, I'm now about halfway between Hiker's Camp and Indian Beach Trailhead. Like I mentioned, I switched over from Clatsop Loop Trail, switched down to Cannon Beach Trail, and this is what it's looked like the entire way. Clatsop Loop Trail was a lot more narrow, and from looking at it on a map, it looked like it came pretty close to some cliffs, looked pretty gnarly. So I think it's going to be pretty easy going like this from here on out down to Indian Beach Trailhead. I'll give you another update here pretty soon. All right, getting really close now. That water that you hear in the background, which is making me thirsty, I should stop for a water break. That is Indian Creek. We'll walk over it here in just a second. Give you a peek of what that looks like. So I think it's just going to be this pretty easy trail the rest of the way. Now you can drive into Indian Trailhead. So if you wanted to drive into Indian Trailhead and walk up to Hiker's Camp with those little cabins that we were just at, probably pretty kid friendly, not very muddy as you can see. And it's just about 2 miles. So fairly doable, I think, for most people. So we're all downhill here from Hiker's Camp too. So if you're coming into the Indian Trailhead parking lot, it's going to be all uphill. But really not too bad of a walk. I've seen a couple people now on this walk. It looks like we're getting pretty close to the trailhead and the parking lots. We'll walk down to the beach for some final last views and some final last thoughts. All right, well, I hope you had a good time with me on this hike here today. As a reminder, I'm a licensed real estate broker in the state of Oregon and Washington. We've helped a lot of people relocate to, retire to, buy investment properties along the Oregon coast, from Astoria to Brookings and everything in between. Again, if you want to see more videos about what it's like to eat, sleep, play, all the pros and cons. Again, a lot of the videos on this channel are educational to show you actually what it's like to live along the Oregon coast. Make sure and subscribe. And if you're somebody that's thinking about taking the next steps, if you're thinking about moving here, if you're thinking about buying a home along the Oregon coast, I invite you to call, text, email. You can hit that QR code if you're watching from TV. That'll take you to our website. You can also find all of our contact information in the description below of this video. And until next time, take care, everyone. Feel free to give me a like if you like this video. Leave me a comment. Let me know, do you have a favorite hike along the Oregon coast? And again, remember to subscribe if you want to see more videos about what it's like to live along the Oregon coast. Take care, everyone.